Hi, dear friends, my beloved students. It's me, your teacher, Dr. Jayafarali. Happy to see you all in a very long gap. Hope you all are fine, staying safe in your homes, enjoying your pandemic breakdown vacations. Anyway, hope well, stay positive, keep touch, attend our classes regularly. We can survive without hard work. Dear friends, let me introduce some topics in this lecture. We know that we lost our exam schedule and other all basic things during this pandemic period. Now we are happy to reschedule all the engagement again. And also the government of India and Kerala lead us to a new technological learning system which we called Edu 4.0, which make us to keep a contact with maintaining the social distancing and involved our duties regularly. So I am happy once again, wish you all the best for your coming exam. Here we are discussing about our last semester paper. It's only a revision because we know that we completed the whole part of our syllabus and completed our own assignments, submitted our assignments and evaluations is also over. We want to revise our prepared materials once again before we go into the exam hall. That's why we are discussing some short videos on our last semester paper. Here I am interested to discuss the contribution of the Ottomans in various levels. By this lecture, I think to convey the contribution of Ottomans into the literature. Okay. With this series of lectures, we will inshallah complete this part of the contribution first. Literature, art, manufacture and trade, military, administration, etc. Anyway, today we will discuss the literary contribution of the Ottomans. Okay, hope you will enjoy it. So friends, we have a short look on the historical development of the Ottoman literature. We know that the Ottoman Empire, which dating from 1299 to 1922, one of the most powerful, significant dynasties in the world history. Of course, it's an unavoidable fact because the longest dynasty which controlled the major part of the world is Ottoman Sultans. We know that the power of the emperor or the sultans of the Ottomans possessed magnificent power, wealth, culture, spanning in parts of Europe, Asia, and North Africa. The geographical boundary of the empire is spanning in Africa, Asia, and Europe. That's why we call it, which is the greatest, ever greatest dynasty in the world. So, look to the history of the Ottoman literature. We know that which dates back more than 1500 years back, or 1500 years ago. In the late 15th and 16th century, the Ottoman poetry was written in a complex hybridization of the Turkish, Persian, Arabic languages. It is a combined mode of Arabic, Persian, Turkish, etc. However, the Turkish language was the most common language used in the literature of the Ottoman court during that time because the Turkish language became official in 1277 by the Ottoman ruler Muhammad I, or Muhammad. Later, the language spread through the main cities of the empire, which introduced in first capital of Ottomans Bursa, then organized the finally which reached and promoted from the Byzantine decline and the conquest of the Constantinople by the Muslims. They established their own capital there, which helped to development of the Turkish literature again. And the poets and literary minds are promoted by sultans. Of course, the period of the Suleiman the Magnificent, Muhammad II are very fruitful for the development of these Ottoman literary growths. This time, the Turkish letters introduced and some type of new inscriptions are there in Ottoman Empire. We call it as Orhan inscriptions. Before that, the Ottoman poetry had its own tradition. That means the oral tradition, because they have no convey their messages into a written form. They had no any type of inscription before that. In that time, these people are conveying their traditions or transmitting their epics in an oral model, which is the first form of the Turkish literary tradition, especially the poetic tradition. Friends, we know that the every culture, every civilization start with their own history tradition, which marks some epics, which keeps with the epic caveats. Of course, the Turkish literature had its own epics in a popular genre of literature, which ended after the Manzikert battle and its victory over the Ottomans against the Byzantines. Not Ottomans, the Seljuks against the Byzantines. The style of literature influenced by Arabic and Persians after that, and they formed their own letters, their own inscriptions, their own languages, but it influenced by the Persian Arabic literature with the influence of these two type of literature. That's why the early oral tradition came into a written form but deals with the history, geography, prose, poetry subjects like the Arab Persian literature. But in early period, it's mainly focused on religious and theological matters only. Of course, during this period, many poets and writers talented in these three languages because Turkish has their own language, Arabic has their religious language, and Persia is the one of the very famous language among the Turkish Empire during that period. France, before going to explain the poetry and its Ottoman contribution, we want to just indicate the folklore tradition of the Turkish literature. We said that it's an oral tradition, but fortunately, these oral traditions are structurally comprised and transmitted to the next generation. If we look at the Ottoman tradition, which emerged from the courts of the sultans or the nobles, that's why we commonly known or called it's a court literature. And also it's called royal literature. Okay, in its early form, the Ottoman literature is commonly known as the palace literature also. Anyway, the Ottoman literary tradition began to be referred to as the Adabiyatil Khadimi, which is commonly called the Ottoman literature as Adabiyatil Khadimi, which means the old literature because it had its own, it had been its own literature.